Hi, my name is Marlene Mendez. I will be doing my video on the epidermis. The skin is divided up into three layers: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. We will begin speaking about the epidermis, which is the most outer layer of the skin. It is part of the largest organ. In the epidermis, it does not contain any blood vessels. The epidermis is divided into 5 layers. First layer is the stratum corneum, most superficial layer and the thickest. This is the dead layer of skin. Next is the stratum granulosum, filled with keratin granules, where cell granules move to degenerate, causes the cells to die. Next is the stratum spinosum, layer above the stratum basale. Limited amount of cell division occurs here. Lastly, we have the stratum basale, also known as the germinativum. It sits on the basement membrane, most nourished layer of the epidermis. And this is because it is closest to the blood vessels in the dermis. We will now move on to the dermis. The dermis is the second layer of the skin. The dermis contains nerve endings, smooth muscles, hair follicles, blood vessels, sebaceous glands, and sweat glands. Our dermis is divided by 2 regions, the upper papillary and the reticular layer. The upper papillary is the portion of the dermis that pushes up into the epidermis, and this is how we are formed our fingerprints, and it also enhances the gripping ability of hands and feet. At the reticular layer, which is the main layer of the dermis, blood vessels in the dermis help regulate the temperature. We will now speak about some of the blood vessels involved in the dermis. In the dermis, blood vessels via capillaries, nutrients are provided to the skin and the waste are taken away. Our blood vessels are a major part in maintaining body's temperature. The blood vessels become larger to release heat or become smaller to hold in any body heat. Next, we will speak about the nerves. The nerves in the dermis allow the skin to have sensory perception. This is how our skin is able to feel pain, pressure, temperature, and touch. We will next move on to the hair follicle. Our hair follicles are tubes that surround the root hair. Hair follicles contain an inner layer and an external layer. The inner layer is made of epithelial tissue. This is where hair is formed. The external layer is composed of the dermal connective tissue and supplies the hair bulb. The hair bulb forms the base of the hair follicle. In the hair bulb, living cells divide and grow to build the hair shaft. It protects the hair. As well as the hair follicles, there is also a special muscle. This muscle is known as the aerator pili muscle. If the aerator pili muscle is stimulated by cold or emotions, when these contract, the hair is elevated and pulled straight. We know this as goosebumps. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed my description of the epidermis, the skin, the largest organ we have on our body.